Special and Enam and Byline.
In the Acomb Stakes and racing over 7 furlongs in this one, Air Music was none too quick into his stride. Lift and Load is one of the early leaders together with Our Vision. Also close up in the plain yellow is Cricket Fan. With Cricket Fan still very prominent indeed, then close up on the inside rails races Ragtime. Also in that leading group, and very prominent too, is Smoky Native. They're turning for home now as they enter the last straight with 4.5 furlongs to travel. And up front, the leader now is Smoky Native. Smoky Native from Cricket Fan. Doular is taking closer order. Our Vision is still on the premises, trying to close on the leaders Visage, the filly, and Air Music too. The one coming to challenge widest of all is Roy Hobbs. And now they're well past halfway. They're coming down, in fact, to the final 2.5. And the leader is still Smoky Native, with Doular now pressing him in second place. Aquatic, the favourite, gets a good run and comes right through to challenge as well. And then on the outside, Air Music. After these, Lift and Load, Cricket Fan, then Our Vision, My Taipan. The back markers are Roy Hobbs, Visage, and finally, last of all, Ragtime into the final half furlong. And Aquatic and Walter Swinburne coming strongly, and they now take it up. So it's the favourite, Aquatic, who goes away to win the opening Acomb Stakes from Smoky Native, Doular.
They're under starters' orders, and they're off.
With 1 3/4 to travel in this, the race called Melrose Handicap. They're well bunched in the early stages, with the first to go on, Grecian Hill. After a furlong or so, it's Grecian Hill who is making the running, about 2 lengths up. On in second place, the favourite, Emilian. Settled close in 3, just right after them is Out of Funds. They've now covered 2 furlongs. Then in 4, Sab Arab. 5 up towards the outside is Foreign Asset. Then midfield after the Solo Act and Derab. And the back markers, the last 4, are Scandal, Beekman Street, 6 Slip, and finally in 11th place, Dame Elusive. That's the order, with Grecian Hill continuing to take them along in front. She has a lead of a couple of lengths over the favourite Emilian, a further 2 to Out of Funds in 3rd, and then comes in 4th place, Foreign Asset. Now they're approaching the final 1.25 miles, with still Grecian Hill taking them along in the lead under Michael Roberts. Grecian Hill being followed by Emilian 2, Sab Arab 3. Then in 4th place now, and still very close and in contention, Foreign Asset. Right after this quartet comes Sab Arab with Solo Act and Derab under top weight up towards the outside. Then Slick Slip is next. Beekman Street is last but 2, last but 1, Scandal. And finally, last of all, Dame Elusive. So they've just passed the 8 furlong pole, and so running on now towards halfway in this race call sponsored Melrose Handicap, with the running still being made by Grecian Hill, who's led right from the start, with Emilian remaining in second. She's been in that place throughout. After these 2 is Out of Funds, with on the outside Foreign Asset. They're just passing the 6 furlong pole now, and Emilian now comes through to shade Grecian Hill out for the lead. So Emilian becomes the new leader, and only the second leader in the race, relegating Grecian Hill to second. Then Foreign Asset, 3 Out of Funds still there in 4. Solo Act makes ground with 5 furlongs to race. They're still tightly grouped, with Derab midfield still, and out towards the rear are Scandal and Dame Elusive as they turn for home. They're inside the final 4.5 furlongs and nearing the 4 pole now, with Emilian the favourite leading, but Foreign Asset now throwing down a challenge. So it's Emilian bidding for her hat-trick with Steve Cawthon, then Foreign Asset being rousted along now by Greville Starkey, coming past the 3 pole, and it's Emilian 1, Foreign Asset 2. Right after them comes Solo Act up on the outside, poised for a challenge. Out of Funds still very close, making good ground now. Just after the leaders is Dame Elusive. They're inside the final 1/4 mile, and up front it's Foreign Asset, who's continued to progress and has gone on, and Out of Funds also goes past Emilian. Solo Act in 4, and still making good ground against the rails is Dame Elusive, but it's Foreign Asset and Greville Starkey leading from Out of Funds, and Tony Culhane racing up towards the line, and Foreign Asset is going to win this race. Foreign Asset from Out of Funds, Solo Act close for 4th between Dame Elusive and 6 Slip.
They're under starters' orders, and they're off.
And Cacoethes is slowly out of the stalls. He's last with 10.5 furlongs to race, and this Juddmont International. They've covered half a furlong, and making the running is Two Timing in the sponsor's colours, and followed by Ile de Chypre in second. But the pace is a really terrific one, and it's being set by Two Timing. 2 lengths up now on Ile de Chypre in 2, then in third place La Pierre, settled in 4, the only filly Magic Gleam. After her and making progress now is the favourite Cacoethes. The last two are last year's winner Shady Heights, and finally last of all is Batsouf. They've got a mile to travel, and the leader is Two Timing, bidding for a 4-timer here, and followed still in second place by Ile de Chypre. Then right behind these two in 3 is La Pierre, the rank outsider. In 4, the only filly Magic Gleam. 6.5 furlongs to travel. In next place is Cacoethes, the favourite, and the last two are Shady Heights. Shady Heights, the 7-2 winner of this Group 1 race last year. And finally, last of all, is Batsouf. So they're just past halfway as they start to make the turn for home, with the leader still Two Timing, but being pressed now by Ile de Chypre. Then comes La Pierre and Shady Heights making good headway. Cacoethes is well in touch on the inside, closely followed by Magic Gleam. The back marker last of the 7 is still Batsouf. They're coming to the half-mile pole now, and Two Timing and Pat Edry, who've led from the outset, are being hotly pressed now by Ile de Chypre. These two have a lead of some 2 to 3 lengths over Shady Heights now, going up into third. Then comes Cacoethes starting his run up towards the outside, being followed slipstreamed he is by Magic Gleam. Dropping away is the outsider La Pierre. Batsouf is now last but one. They're running down to the 2 furlong pole now, and Ile de Chypre is the leader, and he's got 2 or 3 lengths to spare over stablemate Cacoethes. So it's Guy Howard 1 and 2 at the moment, with Ile de Chypre and Tony Clark from Cacoethes and Greville Starkey, with Shady Heights trying to win it for the second year running in third, but not going to do so. And it's Ile de Chypre from Cacoethes, the odds-on favourite. Ile de Chypre is holding the favourite at the moment, up towards the line, and Ile de Chypre and Tony Clark win the Judmont International from the favourite Cacoethes, and then came Shady Heights in third place.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
With a mile and a half to travel in the Great Voltigeur, and the first to come out of the stalls is Zalazzle. Zalazzle goes on and quickly goes some 2 to 3 lengths up on Warshan in second place. Terramon is bringing up the rear at the moment as they complete the first furlong. So it's Steve Cawthon making it here, and making it at quite a good pace on Zalazzle, who is being followed by Walter Swinburne and Warshan, and the back marker still is Terramon under Michael Roberts. At the end of the first quarter of a mile, no change in the order, except that Warshan is just getting a little closer to Zalazzle. The lead now cut to 2 lengths, and a further 2 lengths back in third is Terramon. That's the order as they come to the 9 furlong pole now, so they've covered 3 furlongs. And it's Zalazzle, whose latest effort was a third in the Dante Stakes here 3 months ago, who continues to show in front of Warshan, winner of the Gordon Stakes at Goodwood last time out. And still the back marker is Terramon, runner-up in the Derby last time out, with Warshan well behind. Now they've covered the first half mile, in fact 4.5 furlongs now, and Zalazzle continues ahead. This horse 4 times successful as a 2-year-old, with Warshan, the son of Northern Dancer, in second place, and still the back marker is Terramon, whose only win in fact was in a maiden race at Leicester. Now they're coming towards the 6 furlong pole, which is halfway in the Great Voltigeur Stakes, past it now, and Zalazzle, yet to be headed, still shows in front, this horse with white socks behind, followed by the one with the white noseband, that's Warshan, and then in the brown jacket, green cross belts and cap is the grey colt Terramon. They're turning for home as they enter the straight now with 4.5 furlongs left to run, and Zalazzle, bidding to make all here, still leads from Warshan, who remains second, and Terramon in third spot. They're coming on now to the final 3.5 furlongs. Terramon has been produced up on the outside for his run and quickly goes past Warshan to take second, and is now virtually on terms with Zalazzle. Nothing between the two leaders, and now Terramon takes it up from Zalazzle, who fights back though. These two having a ding-dong struggle, and they've gone 2 or 3 lengths up on Warshan down to the final quarter, and Zalazzle is running on again and regains the lead from Terramon. A furlong and a half to go, and Steve Cawthon, hands and heels only from Terramon, with Michael Roberts looking for his stick. He's got it now. Warshan back in 3 and can find no more. They race into the final half furlong, and Zalazzle being repressed by Terramon. Not a lot in it, but Zalazzle's going to get there up towards the line, and Zalazzle gains his 6th win, the Great Voltigeur, with Steve Cawthon from Terramon and Warshan.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
With 6 furlongs to race in this Dowsing Handicap, all the way to a very level break indeed. The ones leading over on the far side of the course, and that's the smaller group, are Glen Croft with Restore and Abel Mabel, Also in that group is the top-weighted Agenac, while on the near side it's Sully's Choice, who is cutting out the pace, and that one's the overall leader, Sully's Choice, who leads that larger group, and followed by Den's Bend, Cumbrian Waltzer with the white sleeves. Then up the centre comes Tobermory Boy with Golden Ancona. Luna Bid is also running fast. They're coming down a halfway in the Dowsing Handicap with Sully's Choice, the overall leader, on the near side, but stable companion Glencroft is flying on the far side. Glencroft by several lengths on the far side, ahead of Agenac, Restore and Able Mabel. 2 furlongs left to run, and Glencroft now the overall leader on the far side. Sully's Choice leading the large group on the near side, with Bay coming out of the pack in pursuit. Prophilic is trying to close as well, as is Scotch Imp. They're down below the distance, and it's Sully's Choice, the leader now. Sully's Choice from Bay, and after them comes Dorking Lad with a spirited late run, and then Cumbrian Waltzer, but it's Sully's Choice in front. Sully's Choice and Willie Carson are going to win this one. Up to the line, Sully's Choice from Dorking Lad, Cumbrian Waltzer and Bay. And they're well grouped in the early part of the race, with Energia, one of the leaders, together with, up on the outside, Dalby Dancer, then Clifton Chapel very close on the inside, and these are the first 3. They're followed by Demawend, the second favourite. The favourite World is being held up right at the back of the field. They're coming towards the end of the second furlong now, and it's Clifton Chapel now taking it up. Clifton Chapel, who is conceding weight all round, who has gone into a narrow lead ahead of Dalby Dancer, the mare, up towards the outside in second place. In third is the filly Energia, and now they've covered 3 furlongs. And following the first 3, in fourth place still is Demawend, only second when favourite last time for the Queen's Vase, and still the back marker is Well, the horse who won the Queen's Vase, beating Demawend by 5 lengths. They've just passed the 12 pole, so they're inside the final mile and a half, with Clifton Chapel, the 4-year-old, still cutting out the running, and followed by Dalby Dancer, who at 5 is the senior runner. In third place is Energia, the only one of the 5 who hasn't yet won a race. And then after her, in a gap of some 3 to 4 lengths, comes Demawend, a further length and a half back, and still last of all is Weld. 1.25 miles to race now, and the running is still being made by Clifton Chapel under Billy Nunes, with in second place Dalby Dancer and Willie Ryan, then in 3 Energia under John Lowe, 4 Demawend with Willie Carson, who won the previous race on the 100 to 30 favourite Sully's Choice, and the back marker still is Weld, partnered by Bruce Raymond. Now they're coming to the 8th pole, and this is halfway in the Lonsdale Stakes, with Clifton Chapel making a belated seasonal reappearance, but still leading from Dalby Dancer, very close in second spot. Energia is third, and these 3 have now opened up quite a long gap ahead of the 2 market leaders, Demawend and Weld. They're inside the final 7 furlongs. Clifton Chapel leads, with Dalby Dancer remaining second. Energia is third, then this long gap of 8 lengths to Demawend and a further 2.5 to Weld. They're inside the last 3/4 of a mile. And Clifton Chapel, having his first race for Henry Candy, still makes it from Dalby Dancer, 4 times a winner this term, 6 in all. Now they've passed the 5 pole, they're in line for home, with Clifton Chapel the first to strike for home, and followed by Dalby Dancer. Energia is dropping away, but still in third. Demawend now being produced for a run, and Weld is still last. They're inside the final half, and Clifton Chapel is now virtually joined by Dalby Dancer, in fact headed now by Dalby Dancer. So it's Willie Ryan taking Dalby Dancer into a narrow lead ahead of Clifton Chapel. Then comes Demawend. Weld has still got a lot to do, but is now in 4th place, as Energia weakens right away to be last of all. Coming down to the final quarter, and the 4 leaders are bunching up now, with Dalby Dancer being caught now by both Demawend and Weld on the outside, and so the 2 principals have gone on, with Weld the finishing stronger on the outside. Weld from Demawend now as they race up towards the line, and it's Weld and Bruce Raymond from Demawend fighting back on the inside, this Millreef colt, but up towards the line. Weld is going to get there, but only just close home. It's Weld who completes a hat-trick, with Bruce Raymond from Demawend, Clifton Chapel and Dalby Dancer.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
With 7 furlongs to race in this, the Eglinton Nursery. And Lawnswood Jr. was slowly out of the stalls. New Romantic none too fast either, and Southern Bow also lost a few lengths at the start. Up front early on though, Mount View is one of the leaders in company with Gas Cube, and then between time, Gimcrack Lovebird is very prominent too. Then midfield after these now, New Romantic with El Arab prominent on the rails. Up towards the outside comes Baron Nika. They've completed 2.5 furlongs. They turn for home and approach the 4 pole, and it's Mountview in front. Mountview, the one going for a hat-trick here, with Gas Cube very close in second place, and after these two comes Between Time. Up with them two towards the outside is Prohibition. These leaders are tracked by New Romantic. They're just past halfway in the Eglinton Nursery, and it's still Mountview who leads. Mountview from Gas Cube and Prohibition. Then Between Time and over on the inside, Gimcrack Lovebird coming with a good-looking run, as also is the second grey Pt2 being followed by Eerily Skill. Then after these comes Surpassing. Southern Bow, the favourite's got a lot to do still, but he's making ground up on the wide outside. You'll spot that noseband, but they're coming down to the distance now. And Pt2 and Gas Cube, the two greys, are at the head of things, followed by Eerily Skill. And here comes Southern Bow, the favourite, with a dashing late run, but it's too late and up towards the line. And it's Pt2 and Brian Rouse. Pt2 just from Eerily Skill, Gas Cube, and the favourite Southern Bow.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
In this valuable selling race, they're racing over the straight 6 furlongs. Miss McKinley is one of the first to break from the stalls. Also very prominent in the early part of the race is Beachy Glen with Moving Force, running fast as well. They're all racing in one group there. They're coming up the centre of the track, and the leading group consists of Beachy Glen, Moving Force, Super One is there too, as is In Sharp Focus on the near side. Also with them just behind the leaders comes Colin Seller. June Star is last at the moment, as this field reaches halfway now in the Rouse Selling Stakes. So inside the final 3, and up front it's still Beachy Glen, very prominent with Colin Seller. Joining these two now is In Sharp Focus, the favourite. Final Shot is coming strongly on the near side. Up towards the far side and making good ground is Charade Dancer just behind Super One, but it's In Sharp Focus. Michael Roberts with the noseband, who's just joined Beachy Glen, and then comes Final Shot. Also making good ground is Gabbiadini. They're approaching the line, and it could be a blanket finish here with John Lowe and Beachy Glen just hanging on from Super One and Bruce Raymond. Super One gets a just from Beachy Glen, the favourite. Final Shot.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
With 1.5 miles to race in the Yorkshire Oaks, the first to show in front is Lady Shipley, who's gone on by a length now from Nidrion in second place. The favourite Alidares settled in 3, then in 4 is Pt2. The back marker after a furlong is Roseate Turn. They're going a steady pace as they complete the first furlong and a half, with Lady Shipley making it now by 2 lengths from Nidrion for Italy in second, then in third place just for Ireland, Pt2. Then the odds-on favourite Alidares, and bringing up the rear is the only blinkered runner. This is Roseate Turn. Now they're coming towards the end of the third furlong with Lady Shipley and Walter Swinburne, the Goodwood runner-up, still cutting out the pace, ahead of Nidrion in second place. Nidrion, winner of the Italian Oaks. Then in third spot is Pt2, runner-up in the Irish Oaks. In fourth place, the winner of the Irish Oaks, Alidares, and still the back marker is Roseate Turn. She's also an Oaks winner. She won the Lancashire Oaks. Now they're coming towards the 7-furlong pole. The field racing in single file. They're getting fairly stretched by Lady Shipley, who is setting a quicker pace now to Nidrion in 2, Pt2 still 3, Alidares 4, and the back marker remains Roseate Turn. They're nearing the 6-furlong pole, which is the halfway point of this Yorkshire Oaks. And passing it now, Lady Shipley is still in command from, in second place, Nidrion. And after her comes Pt2, then Alidares, and finally Roseate Turn. They're at the 5-furlong marker now. Lady Shipley leads still from Nidrion for Italy, Pt2 for Ireland, and the last two are Alidares and Roseate Turn. They're into the straight and coming towards the final half mile. Lady Shipley and Walter Swinburne yet to be headed, but Nidrion now is closing well with Pat Edry. Then after these two comes Ron Quinton with Pt2, Steve Cawthon yet to make a move on Alidares, and the back marker is Roseate Turn with Willie Carson inside the last 3, and Lady Shipley is not stopping. She's still a good leader from Nidrion, with Pt2 making headway on the inside. Alidares, now the grey, being produced for her effort, and now they're bunching up with 2 to go, and it's Lady Shipley trying to make all with Pt2 looking quite dangerous, but not so dangerous as Alidares, who is closing well, as also now Roseate Turn. The Italian filly Nidrion's not going to win this. She's back, drop back last of all, but the 4 leaders almost in line, and it's Roseate Turn up on the outside. Roseate Turn and Willie Carson are going to add the Yorkshire Oaks to the Lancashire Oaks, close for second between Alidares and Pt2, and then came early leader Lady Shipley.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
In the Ebor Handicap, 1 3/4 miles is the trip in this one. And in the early stage of the race is just jockeying for positions, with one of the first to go on, Freed, with Cantus Firmus on the inside rails. And then after these two, and at the end of the first furlong, up on the outside races Bush Hill, and then on the rails comes Horn Dance, the favourite, followed by Tender Type. Midfield at the moment are Cossack, Guard and Tailspin. They're followed by Dwadme and then Diva Madonna. Back behind Diva Madonna, out towards the outside races Go Forum. Cheerful Times is next, followed by Camden Knight, and the last two in the Ebor Handicap are Pokey's Pride and finally Boulevard Girl. They've just passed the 11-furlong pole, and Cantus Firmus takes it up now from Afreed in second. Sapiens has gone 3. Then in 4 is Horn Dance, 5 up towards the outside Rouchade, and then come Dwadme, Tender Type and Tailspin, and they're followed by Bush Hill. After that leading group races up on the outside How Mal with Lauren's Courage close, and then Go Forum with 9 furlongs to race. Cheerful Times comes next, that's amongst the back's markers, and the last 3 are Camden Knight, Pokey's Pride, and finally in 18th place is Boulevard Girl. And now up front, coming through to show in front again, is Afreed with 1 mile to go. Afreed just shades out Cantus Firmus for the lead, but little between these two, who are followed very closely by Sapiens, and then comes Rouchade, and after them Horn Dance. This is the halfway point in the Ebor, and Cantus Firmus right against the rails is disputing it still with Afreed, and then after these two Sapiens, Rouchade, Horn Dance, Cossack, Guard in the same ownership, and then comes midfield Tender Type with Dwadme against the rails and Bush Hill next. Well grouped they are still as they come now towards the final 5.5, with up on the inside Cantus Firmus, then towards the outside Rouchade. And it's these two as they turn for home, being followed by Sapiens, still well on the premises. In line for home now, and just over a half a mile to travel. And against the rails, it's Cantus Firmus. Up the centre comes Rouchade. Between the pair is Sapiens. Joining them now is Afreed, who now takes it up. And it's Afreed going on with the Aga Khan second runner. Rouchade in second place. Then making good ground on the outside comes Bush Hill. Cossack Guard trying to close. The favourite, Horn Dance, gets a good-looking split over on the inside against the rails as Cantus Firmus weakens out of it. Last of all now is Camden Knight, but it's Sapiens coming through to take it up now. 1.5 furlongs to go, and it's Sapiens, the leader, being pressed now by Bush Hill. Then right after those two is Afreed. They're down to the distance, and it's Sapiens and Bush Hill fighting it out from in third place Afreed. And the favourite, Horn Dance, is not going to win the Ebor. Go Forum comes through next, but up towards the line it's Sapiens from Bush Hill, the favourite, Horn Dance, and then in fourth place is Afreed.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
And Swiss Affair misses the break and loses 3 or 4 lengths out of the stalls. The first to go on is Olympic Hero. It's Olympic Hero making it from Rock City, showing in second place. Then for the North, Champagne Gold. After these early leaders comes Book the Band. The back marker is the slow-starting Swiss Affair. They've completed 1.5 furlongs. And up front, it's Olympic Hero with Rock City now right in contention, a very close second to these two, Book the Band, and then comes Champagne Gold and Swiss Affair, who now makes ground as they race down towards the halfway stage of the Gimcrack. And it's here that Rock City has gone on and becomes a good leader now. Rock City, a couple of lengths up on the early leader, Olympic Hero, with Swiss Affair making very rapid headway now to come up just behind these two leaders, who are followed by Book the Band inside the final 2.5. Champagne Gold is under pressure and finding nothing in last place inside the final quarter, and it's Willie Carson with Rock City the leaders, and followed by Book the Band making headway again on the inside. That's the one with the white noseband. Swiss Affair next in 3, then Olympic Hero and Champagne Gold. They're inside the final furlong now, and it's Rock City and Willie Carson, clear leaders from Book the Band, and coming up to the line, Rock City stays unbeaten, wins the Gimcrack. It's a double for Willie Carson. Book the Band is second, then came Swiss Affair.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
With 9 furlongs to race in the handicap, the first out of the stalls is the favourite Twin Jet. And it's Twin Jet cutting out the early pace and being pushed on now into a definite lead. A lead of just over 2 lengths from Daring Time, settled in second place. Close up in 3, Sharon's Royale. Settled in 4, Leaf Yours Honour. 5 is Athens Gate, now ridden by Pat Edery. And then midfield come Hardizan, White Sapphire, the top weight Light of Morn. The back markers are Regent Light with Major Ivor, Lots of Luck. And bringing up the rear at the moment, last of the 13, is Arion Harry. They're approaching the 6 furlong marker, with Twin Jet still at the head of the field, but only by a length now from Sharon's Royale, who is in second. Relegating Daring Times to 3, Leafio's Honour still 4. And then comes Athens Gate 5, within 6th place Hardazan, 7 and making ground Madame Bovary. And they're now coming to halfway in the handicap, halfway now. And into the straight with Twin Jet still leading. Twin Jet from in second place Sharon's Royale, then Leafio's Honour. Daring Times is close too. Making ground up towards the outside now is Madame Bovary. Then tucked in just after these are Hardazan with Athens Gate. White Sapphire gets a run against the rails. Up towards the outside and looking for racing room is Lots of Luck, who's found some. And then on the outside of that is Major Ivor. The last two are Regent Light and Arion Harry down to the final quarter of a mile. And up front Sharon's Royale has now come to join issue with Twin Jet. These two are together matching strides. They're followed by Leafio's Honour, Madame Bovary, and then Major Ivor. Tailed off now is Athens Gate. Into the final furlong now, and up front the leaders are still Sharon's Royale and Twin Jet, but bursting through between the two is Hardazan, and none going better than Major Ivor up towards the outside, and also Light of Morn. Light of Morn sprouting wings and flying at the finish, but he can't quite cut Hardazan. It's Hardazan from Light of Morn.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
5 furlongs the trip in this one, and away to a pretty reasonable break with the early leaders including Old Alliance, the favourite, and Dancing Music very close, as also is Croft Imperial. Up towards the outside of them races Viceroy, who is followed by Across the Bay, and then comes Lord Glen. Bryceass is next, and the present back marker is Lars Porsener. They're coming down to the 3 furlong pole now, with Old Alliance taking them along from Dancing Music in second place. Very close on the near side in the yellow and red, that's Croft Imperial. Viceroy joins this group at 3, as also now does Lord Glen. They're followed by Bryceass, well past halfway and into the final quarter. And the leaders, Old Alliance, now being tackled and collared by Dancing Music, with Lord Glen and Croft Imperial and Viceroy. These 5 in line across the course, and followed by Bryceass, and then Born to Swing, and across the bay and Lars Porsener, but close home Old Alliance and Lord Glen on the outside. Very little between them, with Old Alliance the favourite, just getting it. Old Alliance and Pat Edery from Lord Glen.
They're understarters' orders, and they're off.
5 furlongs again the trip in this, the closing race. And in the early part of the race, prominent are the favourite Elegant Rainbow, with on the near side Le Chic. Between the two is Hafoof. Then running fast out towards the outside comes Paley Prince. They're coming down to complete the first furlong and a half, and the one who is now a long way last, and patently something wrong with it, is Gleeful. Meantime, the rest of the field are past the 3 pole, and up front Lugana Beach comes through to take it up from Elegant Rainbow. Le Chic is still very prominent, as is Hafoof, and these leaders are being followed by That's the One and Paley Prince. Blighton led out towards the outside, a furlong and a half to run, and Lugana Beach and Elegant Rainbow now joined by Paley Prince, with Le Chic still very prominent. That's the One trying to get on terms. Hafoof only just behind the leaders. Gleeful has been pulled up. They've got half a furlong to go, and Lugana Beach it is just. Lugana Beach and Steve Cawthon going away now. Lugana Beach from Paley Prince, Blighton lad finishing well, and then in fourth the favourite Elegant Rainbow.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
With a mile and a half to travel in this Galtree Stakes. The first one out is Jungle Rose. Jungle Rose is the early leader, making it from Rafada in second place. Then Noosh, the favourite, very close up in third towards the outside. Settled in 4 after a furlong is the outsider Pretty Thing, and the last 2 are Soporific. And finally in 6th place Nessar. That's the order, with Jungle Rose now going on. Jungle Rose the leader after a quarter of a mile. Jungle Rose, who is on a hat-trick from, in second place, Rifada. Then behind these 2, Noosh, the selected of 2 Michael Stout entries. Making headway on the rails now is the only maiden, that's Soporific. They're now just inside the 9 furlong mark, with Jungle Rose the leader by a length and a half. Rifada in second place. Then all vying for third are Noosh, Soporific and Pretty Thing. And held up at the rear at the moment is the second horse bidding for a hat-trick, that is Nessar. Now they're making their way towards the last 7.5 furlongs, and it's Jungle Rose under Steve Cawthon, who won this listed race last year on Upend, who continues to show ahead. 7 furlongs to go. Jungle Rose the leader, Rifada still second, then Noosh going third in front of 4 Soporific, and then 5 Pretty Thing. Still last is Nessar. And now they're at halfway in this, the Galtree Stakes, with Jungle Rose still setting the pace, and a pretty good one it is too, as they start to make their way towards the final turn and the home straight. They're nearing the 5 pole now, and Jungle Rose now is being joined by Rifada. So it's Steve Cawthon and Ray Cochrane vying for it now, with Noosh just third in front of Soporific. That's the one with the white noseband on the rails. They're coming now down to the final half mile, and up front it's still Jungle Rose and Rifada. Noosh going easily in 3. Pretty Thing, the outsider, coming strongly on the outside. She's gone past Soporific, and as Jungle Rose weakens away quite quickly, it is now Rifada and Noosh together. They're inside the last 3, and Rifada just has the call from Noosh with the pale cap, but now Noosh has taken it up. So it's Noosh and Walter Swinburne going on, but here comes Nassar from last to virtually first, now up on the outside. Nassar and Pat Edery going strongly now and taking up the running down towards the distance, and Nassar being ridden along and kept up to her work, but going clear now from Noosh, but Noosh fights back on the inside. There won't be much in it. Jungle Rose is now tailed off last, but up to the line, and Nassar and Pat Edery. Noosh and Walter Swinburne, nothing in it. Noosh, the favourite, fights back, and Noosh gets there. Noosh just at Walter Swinburne from Nassar. Pretty Thing.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
In the Convivial Maiden Stakes, all get away pretty well. Besto just a little slower than some of the others to leave the stalls, and the first 2 to go on are Lucky Frosty and Transcriber. Close up after these towards the outside is Dashing Senor. Over against the stand side of the course is In the Groove with My Mavon. In midfield now, Besto has made ground, and Pychley Knight, and the back mark at the moment is Rye Bill. Now they're coming down to complete the first quarter of a mile. This field are well bunched at the moment, with Lucky Frosty taking them along in a lead of about a length no more from Transcriber and In the Groove, and then My Mavonin and Dashing Senor. Besto being ridden along now and followed by Pychley Knight. Rybill is last as they pass halfway in this Convivial Maiden Stakes, and it's still Lucky Frosty and Dean McEwen who've made virtually all so far, followed by In the Groove and Dashing Senor trying to get on terms in the yellow jacket, and after them comes Rybill making late headway in company with Pychley Knight and Besto. The last 2 now are My Mavonin and finally Transcriber, and here it's In the Groove now, who's taken it up. In the Groove and Steve Cawthon going clear now and racing into the final half furlong. An easy win in prospect here for In the Groove. Coming up to the line, In the Groove gains her first success in the hands of Steve Cawthon. He's down at the line from Dashing Senor and Pychley Knight.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
In the William Hill Sprint Championship, and quickly away up the centre was Desert Dawn in company with Shuttlecock Corner. Also very fast out of the stalls was Eloquent Minister for Ireland, and up on the outside Tigani, and it's Eloquent Minister and Stephen Crane leading the field, followed by Tigani in second place. Desert Dawn still there in 3, and then comes the favourite Cadeau Genera. They're going at tremendous pace. They've come a furlong and a half and almost 2, and up front it is still Eloquent Minister, the Irish filly, going clear of the field, with Tigani remaining in second place. Then comes Cadeau Genera with Wonder Dancer next, and then the 2-year-old Petillon. They're past halfway and coming down to the 2, and up front Tigani now comes to tackle Eloquent Minister. After these 2, and between them is Cadeau Genera. They're followed by Stato Blessed making a late run. Wonder Dancer can find no more. The second favourite Silver Fling is coming too. They're inside the final furlong, and it's here that Cadeau Genera is taken to the front by Pat Edery. Coming up to the line, Cadeau Genera the favourite, a length and a half up on Stato Blessed, Silver Fling and Tigani. Cadeau Genera close for second, third and fourth between Tigani, Silver Fling and Stato Blessed.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
With a mile in front of them in this Bradford and Bingley handicap, and the early leaders include on the inside Diamond Appeal with Gail Yarker going up to join them now, and the other one there in that leading group is Shara Doon. They've covered a furlong. Settled just behind the leaders is Known Ranger, in fact moving up to 4th now as Gail Yarker takes them along by a length and a half from Shara Doon in second. Still Surprised has made good headway to show in 3. They've covered just over a quarter of a mile, and the leaders are being followed by Known Ranger with Diamond Appeal next, and then Go On Smile being followed then by Positive Attitude as they come past the 5 pole now, and they're swinging for home. The present back markers are Solar Mere and So Rhythmical. Becquerel not far from the back either, and now they come to halfway, which is the 4 furlong marker, and up front it's Gail Yarker still just the leader. Gail Yarker from Still Surprised up on the outside running strongly, then tracking these 2 is the favourite Known Ranger. Still very much on the premises is Shara Doon as Diamond Appeal closes again on the inner. Inside the final 3 furlongs, and it's still Gail Yarker. Gail Yarker the leader under Paul Edery, but only just from Still Still Surprised, who's now joined by Known Ranger. The Grey Joveworth makes ground, as does Dancing Monarch. And then after these on the inside, Shara Doon still there and making good headway now. Positive Attitude, they're coming towards the distance, and it's Known Ranger, the favourite, who struck the front, but being pressed strongly now by Dancing Monarch. So it's Steve Cawthon and Known Ranger, Dancing Monarch and Tony Culhane. Little in it, but Known Ranger is just going to get the better of things up towards the line. It's a double for Steve Cawthon. Known Ranger from Dancing Monarch. Regent Lad came through strongly to take third place.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
And racing over these straight 6 furlongs, they all break together, except for Sparkling Nectar, just a little slow. That's the present back marker. But already the favourite, Dead Certain, is out in front, but only by a length from Fire and Shade on the outside of Routillon. After these come Please Believe Me, and then Princess Torfan and Sparkling Nectar. They're coming towards the end of the 2nd furlong now. They're well grouped, still led though by Dead Certain with the yellow sleeves, closely attended now by Fire and Shade. Up on the outside is Please Believe Me. On the near side with a big white noseband is Routillon. And now they approach halfway in the Lather Stakes. Dead Certain makes it still from Fire and Shade. Then Please Believe Me, Routillon with in next place Princess Torfan. Closing on them now, although still last, is Sparkling Nectar. Inside the final quarter of a mile, and they're quickening up the pace now with Dead Certain going on by about a length from Routillon, now coming to take second place as Fire and Shade drops away. And it's Dead Certain, the definite leader, from Routillon in second place, and then comes Please Believe Me with Princess Torfan now coming up into third, but up towards the line, and it's going to be a treble for Steve Cawthon, a double for David Ellsworth with Dead Certain from Routillon, and then came Princess Torfan.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
With 7 furlongs to race in this one, Sharbat a little slowly out of the stalls. And the first to go on is Magical Strike, followed by Tatsfield, and then between the two is Marcroft. Up wider than those is Song of Hope, the blinkered runner. Then over on the inside, Bocus Rose, and the back marker last of the 6 is Sharbat. They've come a furlong and a half. And Magical Strike is still just in command ahead of Tatsfield, but only leading by about a length. And then Marcroft in 3, Song of Hope up on the outside 4. Then Bocus Rose as they make the turn for home with 4.5 furlongs to travel. And Sharbat, the Maiden, is still the back marker. Now they're racing up the centre of the track as they come past the 4 pole, with Magical Strike and Tatsfield, the 2 market leaders together, followed by Bocus Rose and Marcroft. And then after them comes Song of Hope on the outside. Still last is Sharbat. Inside the final 3, with the same order being maintained, Magical Strike and Walter Swinburne from Tatsfield and Paul Edery, and Pat Edery rather. Then over on the inside, Marcroft and Bocus Rose being ridden along strongly to join issue with them. Sharbat has gained a place and relegates Song of Hope to be last of all. Inside the final furlong and a half, and it's Magical Strike now, a good leader from Tatsfield, approaching the final half furlong. Magical Strike going clear and up towards the line. This is going to be a double for Mac2 Mal-Mac2, Michael Stout and Walter Swinburne, as Magical Strike wins it from Tatsfield just, and Sharbat a very close third.
The understarters' orders, and they're off.
In the Nasma Handicap, with 1.5 miles to travel, Positive Way, the first out of the stalls, takes an early lead by roughly a length from Bay Bird, with Nicholas Mark very prominent on the inside rails. Moving up to join that trio is Suluk. They've covered a furlong. Settled just after these comes Figure Out with Timothy's Toy. And behind those on the inside is Bolin Patrick, racing in company with Kevo Sabi. Then Turgo towards the rear, and last of all is 4-Star Thrust. They've covered roughly 2.5 furlongs now. They're well grouped, these 12 runners, and they're still headed by Positive Way and John Lowe, being followed closely now by Suluk, who's gained ground and has gone second. Then Baybird back in 3. Nicholas Mark shows 4. 5 and 6 are Timothy's Toy and Figure Out, and then in 7th place Bolin Patrick, followed by Ruddy Lucky, and the back markers are Turgo and 4-Star Thrust. They're inside the final mile, and it is now Suluk who's been taken to the front by Tony Culhane as they near the 7-furlong marker. Suluk leads by a length from Baybird going second. Relegated to third is Positive Way. In 4 is Timothy's Toy, and 5 now Figure Out. 6 Nicholas Mark, and in 7th spot is Ruddy Lucky. Then in 8th after these Turgo. 9 is Bolin Patrick, and the back markers are still 4-Star Thrust, who is last of all just in front of that one, Kemo Sabi. They've just passed the halfway point in the Nasma Handicap. They're nearing the 5 pole now, and Suluk and Baybird are 1 and 2, Timothy's Toy in 3, and after these making ground, On the inside is Figure Out, with Turgo making good headway on the outside. Ruddy Lucky starts a run as well. They're levelling up for home, and it's 4 furlongs to go from here, with Sulak still leading. Sulak from Bay Bird, Turgo now and Timothy's Toy. Over towards the inside, Nicholas Mark makes ground. Positive Way is relegated to be the back marker. At the 3 Pearl now, and Bay Bird now strikes the front. It's Bay Bird who's taken it up now from Timothy's Toy and Sulak, who'd led for so long, and then Perseor making good late headway. Turgo being ridden along now, and then Nicholas Mark, but it's Bay Bird from Timothy's Toy. These two with Figure Out next, and then Perseor as they come down towards the distance. And the 2 principals are still Bay Bird and Timothy's Toy, with Figure Out being rousted along in third. Perseor good fourth, but up towards the line, and it's going to be another, I think, for the stout Swinburne team, but only just because Figure Out is making good ground. But it's Bay Bird just. Bay Bird from Figure Out, Timothy's Toy. Perseor was fourth.
Under starters orders.